Hey everyone, it's Admiral Prince Eric and welcome back to my channel. So, in today's episode, we're gonna make out some reviews for the closed test 14.4 about new ships and a new, a new something goes on, new something data mine comes forward. Okay, so before we like to start, so please don't forget to subscribe and click the bell on the notification icon. So let's get started, and I would like to share about my details. Okay, so let's start off for a new ship's close test 14.4. So it's gonna be on the way right now for the upcoming Tech 3 after its Soviet submarines are gonna be full release held on May 2025. Okay, so let's get started. It's the best time of the month again for update 14.4. We're very happy to share details about the newest Tech 3 line coming to the game, an alternative branch of American destroyers along with several new premium ships. It was posted on probably at March 28th to be at 7:45 a.m. in the morning. So universal time coordinates was on 10:45. Okay, so let's go on the American destroyers in the upcoming Tech 3. So, update 14.4 will introduce 4 new American destroyers as part of the new Tech 3 branch, which is focused on the use of main battery guns. Ships of Tier 8 and above use an experimental 137mm gun developed by the US Navy between 1939 and 1940. During their efforts to improve the firepower of the smaller ships and secondary battery of larger cruisers and battleships. Compared to the current branch of American destroyers, ships of this line will have improved main battery guns with a good rate of fire combined with high damage per minute, as well as access to HE and SAP shells, because armor-piercing shells is not available for this Tech 3. But this comes at the expense of both concealment and a smaller number of torpedo tubes. This line is set up for mid to long range engagements, as the average speed and concealment make it harder for these ships to close the distance on the enemy and disengage from unfavorable situations. These destroyers are rather large, which on one hand makes them a bigger target, but on the other hand, they have a large HP pool to help to survive the onslaught. The branch distinctive feature is a new smoke mechanic, instead of having a finite number of charges that are used up. This line of destroyers will have a smoke generator that can be activated and deactivated at will, making use of charge mechanics similar to a submarine's die capacity. This smoke generator cannot recharge. This will allow you to adapt your smoke generator to your needs at any given moment, be it shorter smoke to stop your ship from getting spotted, or a long-term offensive smoke to set up a strong fighting position. There will be a minimum activation period before you can deactivate the smoke, as well as a cooldown before the next usage. Once the consumable has been used up, it cannot be used again. In the future, most ships in our game may take advantage of this type of consumable with a total duration rather than separate charges. These destroyers are best suited for long and middle range encounters, bringing down on enemies the combination of HE and SAP shells, and the new smoke mechanic will let them either stay in relative safety or push forward to advantageous but dangerous positions. Starting from Tier 6 Farragut, you will met up a historical Tier 7 destroyer Hughes. She is a member of the Sims class destroyer. Name in that such a person. So if you wanted to show something, the destroyer's name after the person, link down in the description below to see for whom's the names, and also the ships for that is provided link in the description below. So you might check it out immediately. Okay, so start off with Tier 7 American Destroyer Hughes. So, Hughes is a member of the Sim class destroyer. This American destroyer was the first such vessel to escort a British convoy all the way to UK. She later went on to serve the Pacific War, escorting US Navy carriers and protecting USS Yorktown at the Battle of Midway and USS Enterprise at the Battle of Santa Cruz. During the revelation of the Philippines, she was struck by Japanese kamikaze pilots. She returned to service in 1945 before being decommissioned in 1946 and spent it as one of the target ships in Operation Crossroads. meaning the Operation Crossroads is used as a nuclear detonation weapon. It is located at the Bikini Atoll in Marshall Islands, under the United States Trust Territory Pacific Islands. Starting from Tier 6 Farragut, you will be met up a Hughes, a Tier 7 American destroyer. So, differences, unlike her sister ship Sims, you might gonna be the same relative hit points and the same main battery as well. The HE shell damage 1800, initial velocity 792 meters per second, and the SAP will be the same meters per second. Real time will be 3.4 seconds, and the Sigma is 2.0. The depth charges, we got maximum damage 3800. The two charges, about 10 bombs in the charge, we got real time 40 seconds. The torpedo tubes, as usually the same thing for the Sims, the premium ship, is 2x4 533mm. The maximum damage is 11,600, range 9.6 kilometers, speed 55 knots, reload 95 seconds. The launcher 180 degree, turn time 7.2 seconds, torpedo detectability 1.1 kilometer. As usual, the AA defenses looks like the characteristics like her sister ship Sims. The AA defenses consist 4x2 20mm and 4x1 127mm. The main battery that was used for that is the anti-aircraft defenses. So maximum speed 35 knots, turning circle radius 500 meters, rudder shift time 2.7 seconds, surface detectability 7.1 kilometer, air detectability 2.8 kilometer, and detectability after firing main guns to smoke 2.7 kilometers. So, unlike the American destroyers in the tech tree, starting from Tier 5 Nicholas, so if you have access Nicholas has access the defensive AA fire that can be exchanged its smoke generator consumable. Now, in this tech tree, starting from Tier 6, they got something for consumables, the damage control party for unlimited charges, the smoke generator, and the engine boost, which is in that path that do not have a defensive AA fire consumable. So that's it. Now, for Tier 8 to top tier, which means the American destroyers is going to be a hypothetical plan, but mostly related in these counterparts. Like most example for that is the Fletcher, Allen and Summer class, Gearing, and the Forest Sherman, and so on. So let's get started for this Tier 8. Let's start off for the Tier 8 American destroyer Osborne. A hypothetical refit of the famously Fletcher class destroyers. Osborne will carry 4x1 on the experimental 5.4 137mm gun developed by the US Navy 1939 to 1940. Had the gun be accepted, it is possible that a new destroyer base of the Fletcher class would have been developed for them. To compensate for the greater weight of these larger mounts and the ammunition, this ship only carries a single quadruple 533mm torpedo launcher. This ship is named in the honor of the US Navy Lieutenant Wheaton Edward Osborne, who died during the First World War and was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. A member of the Clemson class destroyer that was ships bore to his name in the 1920s. So Osborne goes into a transition from the Hughes to Osborne, which means relatively the main battery guns will be the change. The increases his main battery gun is about 137mm. The main battery will be 4x1. The HE shell damage 1950 and the initial velocity 823 meters per second. The SAP damage will be 3000 and the same initial velocity. Radial time 3.2 seconds and the Sigma is 2.0. Maximum dispersion 109 meters. Depth charges consist the maximum damage 5100. There will be 2 charges. Reload times about 40 seconds. Now for the torpedo tube, we got a single quadruple 533mm. It comes to damage 15,533. Range about 9 kilometers. Speed is 60 knots. Reload time 75 seconds. Torpedo detectability 1.4 kilometers. The AA defenses consist the 5x2 40mm, 7x2 20mm, 4x1 137mm. We got the maximum speed 35 knots, turning circle radius 630 meters, rudder shift time 4.1 seconds, surface detectability 8 km, air detectability 3.7 km, and detectability after firing main guns of smoke 3.3 kilometers. Consumables we got available just like as its predecessor, that I will not going to talk about it, just as I said for that in its predecessor. Okay, so let's continue for that. The next one is a Tier 9 American destroyer Christopher. So a hypothetical design based around a planned twin version of the experimental 5.4 137mm gun with reinforced A armaments similar to late war US Navy destroyers. To allow for this heavier main and A battery, a single quintuple torpedo launcher is carried. The destroyer is named in the honor of U.S. Navy Ensign Harold Jensen Christopher, recipient of the Navy Cross, that he was killed in action during the attack of Pearl Harbor. Christopher is going to be increased its HP about 20,700, plating 19mm. The main battery 3x2 137mm, firing range 12.8 kilometers. HE shell damage 1950. The initial velocity is the same as usual for these counterparts on its predecessor. Reload time is 4.1 seconds. The Sigma is 2.0. The torpedo tubes, we got 1x5 533mm. The damage is 16,633. Range is 10 kilometers. Speed 60 knots. Reload time 85 seconds. Launcher 180 degree turn time 7.2 seconds. And torpedo detectability is the same as usual for its predecessor. The A defenses consist 6x2 20mm, 4x4 14mm, 4x2 14mm, and 3x2 137mm. The maximum speed 36 knots, turning circle radius 680 meters, rudder shift time 4.5 seconds, surface detectability 8.3 km, air detectability 4.3 km, and detectability after firing main guns of smoke 3.4 km. Okay, so detectability after firing main guns of smoke 3.4 km. So the consumables is usually the same, just like as its predecessor. Now, finally, the top tier of the American destroyer Burroughs. An even larger variety of the potential twin 5.4 armed American destroyer, Burroughs carry post-war twin 3-inch 76.2mm heavy A guns, and like the previous members of this branch, she also carries a single quintuple torpedo launcher. This ship is named in honor of the U.S. Navy Lieutenant William Ward Burroughs, who died of his wounds during the War of 1812 while commanding the USS Enterprise. From the 1910s to the 1940s, 2 U.S. Navy ships that bore to his name. Okay, so Burroughs is a top tier of the American destroyer gunnery mode. So the hit points 23,900, plating 19mm. The 3x2 main battery 137mm, firing range is 13.1 kilometers. HE shell damage 1950, the initial velocity 823 meters per second. The SAP damage 3000 and the same velocity for SAP. Reload time 3.5 seconds, Sigma 2.0. The depth charges will be 5100, number of the charges will be 2, bombs in the charge per only 16, and reload time 40 seconds. Now, unlike its predecessor, this top tier has only 1x5 533mm. Damage is 19,033. Range is about 10.5, just like for that is the use for the gearing. Speed is 66 knots, reload time 80 seconds, launcher 180 degree turn time 7.2 seconds, and torpedo detectability 1.4 km. The A defense consists 6x2 20mm, 4x2 76.2mm, 2x1 76.2mm, and 3x2 137mm. The maximum speed 37 knots, turning circle radius 720 meters, rudder shift time 5 seconds, surface detectability 8.5 km, air detectability 4.5 km, and detectability after firing main guns to smoke will be 3.5 km. So, as usual for this top tier is usually would require the same consumable on it as well, without featured for that the defensive aid file. So, this contrasts for that the tier 8, 9 and 10 ships that are basically the American destroyer designs that was previously on during the war and the early Cold War period in these designs. To counterbalance for that the famously historical ships, the Fletcher, Alan M. Summer, Gearing and Forrest Sherman destroyers and so on. Okay, so let's move on to the next ship. So let's head on for the premium ships, which accordingly on this latest DevBlog. The Tier 10 Japanese submarine I-56 1944 version, one of the B-3 class cruiser submarines commissioned in 1944. She managed to damage a tank landing ship during the US liberation of the Philippines. Later it was converted into Kaiten carrier and is believed to have been sunk by American aircraft April 1945. I-56-44 has only acoustic torpedoes that can be used in two different ways. You can stay at a safe distance and rely on the high range and maximum damage along with a fast reload. But if you choose to do so, they will work as unguided torpedoes because of the limited sonar range of 7 km, while the torpedo range is 15 km. I-56-44 also has a second tactical option up to her sleeve, because her torpedoes have rather unique parameters, allowing it to retain higher than average damage at close ranges. So you can take a risky approach and get close to the enemy to aim your torpedoes using sonar, but keep in mind that she can't stay submerged for long because of her poor dive capacity, and her large size and bad concealment make her an easy target for opponents. Even her high HP pool won't save you if the enemy fires on you at close range. That's why you should use hit and run tactics. Make one good hit and quickly retreat to avoid retaliation. Thanks to the fast dive capacity regeneration, soon you will be ready for another attack. I-56-44 will also carry one 140mm deck gun. This gun is quite unusual since it's equipped with HE shells, which are good at starting fires and can come in handy when you need to deal with surface submarines or finish off damaged destroyers. On top of this, her gun is complemented with the main battery reload booster consumable, which can help supplement a close-range playstyle, or be used to set fires from longer ranges on enemies that have used their damage control party. And since she was equipped with a short-range submarine surveillance consumable, she can force enemy submarines to the surface to deal with them using her gun. In addition to this, her consumable set includes a long-duration reserve battery unit. I-56-44 will be mainly for players who enjoy her Tier 8 variant I-56, as well as more typical torpedo boat fans. At the beginning of the battle, it is best to keep your distance for enemies using your torpedoes as unguided ones. And if you see an exposed target, then get close enough to it, make a single crushing blow and retreat. For the asterisk, it says, these torpedoes work similarly to most submarine torpedoes in that the damage they deal increases with the distance they travel, up to a certain point. The difference lies in that while most submarine torpedoes reach their maximum damage output after traveling 3 kilometers, these torpedoes will have only reached half of their maximum damage at that point. From that point on, the damage potential will continue to escalate until reaching its maximum at 10 kilometers. So, if you wanted to see for the model ship right now, you may visit up in this latest DevBlog shown, link in the description below. Now, for the parameters, which is going to be a same more similar for the I-56. For this in this top tier, 1944 version. And as usual for the consumables, it's going to be limited damage control party, hydropone, reserve battery unit, main battery reload booster, and the submarine surveillance. Next one is a Tier 9 solid battleship Zarya Swobody. one of the variants of the battleship A design developed in 1936 in accordance with the concept of creating a large ocean navy. It is specifically its Sovietsky-Soyuz class battleships that was used to counter against the German battleship H class. The ship inherited her name from the Russian pre-dreadnought battleship that took part in the events of October Revolution. Fans of the resilience of Soviet battleships rejoice. Soyuz war body takes this national trait to the next level, with very high armor thickness on its belt and general plating. On top of that, the ship enjoys improved torpedo protection, allowing Soyuz to enter the thick of the fighting and take the hits your teammates will struggle to survive. Combined with her good concealment, defensive AFI and fighter consumable, she is well defended against ships of all types. Her signature Soviet fast damage control team consumable with increased duration also boosts her survivability, but keep in mind that the number of charges is limited. In terms of her armament, she retains a formidable 7 hard-hitting 406mm guns with special accuracy settings that encourage close-range fights due to more unpredictable gunnery at long range. Her other downside is poor handling characteristics that are traditional for Soviet battleships. With its high defensive armament, which is most effective at close range, Soyuz war body is designed to operate on the front lines. You're tough, but you're not invincible. So, in the pursuit of close combat, don't forget about positioning. Given the poor maneuverability of the ship, if you find yourself in the crosshairs of several enemies at once, it will be difficult to disengage and survive the encounter. The same as usual for the I-56 1944 does not appear, so the model of the ship is not ready. So if you like to check it out immediately, link in the description below. So the Soyuz war body is going to be counter characteristics of the well-known the Vladivostok. Usually the hit point 73,500. But here we go. So 3x3 406mm, which gonna be its compensation of its firepower though. Okay, so consumables, we got a fast damage control team or limited damage control party, repair party, defensive AFI, and a fighter. Okay, the next one is a French large cruiser Le Havre. A large cruiser armed with 330mm main battery guns concentrated on the bow of the hull, which has much in common with the Dunkirk class battleships. Okay, this is going to be the Brest sister ship. So, the cruiser is named after one of the major port cities in France. Le Havre takes advantage of her Tetris sister's improved secondary dispersion to challenge for the title of Best Secondary Tier 9 Cruiser, with her fast reloading and well-arranged secondary battery layout with up to 10 by 138mm barrels per broadside. Le Havre will always be able to have a significant portion of her secondary battery in play and is capable of dealing plenty of damage. However, she does not benefit from improved penetration like the Germans, or sap like the Italians, meaning that against targets with sufficient armor, you will be relying on shots striking the thinner plating and fires to wear down your enemies. Compared to her sister ship Brest, which she shares her general arrangement with, she maintains a powerful 330mm main battery guns, albeit with reduced accuracy and a longer reload time. To allow her to make use of her improved secondaries, she benefits from her higher than average HP pool as well as an improved repair party. Also in her arsenal is the typical French national consumable mixed with engine boost and main battery reload booster consumable, that reduce charges. Strong secondary armament together with decent HP means that Le Havre is a good choice for captains who prefer close quarter engagements. You should focus on lightly armored opponents that can't withstand the fire on their main and secondary guns for long. And for battles against heavily armored cruisers and battleships, the inertia fuse for HE Shell's commander skill is the must. Le Havre meanwhile is going to be the same parameters of her sister ship Brest. Usually the 55,300 2x4 330mm, the fire range is 18.1 km. HE shell damage 4,800 and the AP shell is 9,700. Reload time is 30 seconds, the sigma is 1.70. The secondary armament, as usually the same thing goes on characteristics like Brest. So the consumables are the following: the damage control party, hydrokinetic research, defensive AA5 that can be exchanged up with it, the catapult fighter, and the entry boost. You can always swap to do this. The fourth slot, we got the repair party and the main battery reload booster. It has 2 charges. Unlike his sister ship Brest, it's going to be always 4 charges at this time. Next one is the Italian battleship Marcantonio Colonna, a hypothetical deep modernization of one of Francesco Caracciolo class battleship that was laid down 1915, which would have taken place in the late 1930s. One of the unbuilt Francesco Caracciolo class Colonna is armed similarly to Tier 9 Italian battleship Giuseppe Verdi, swapping her main gun sap armor found on Tech 3 Italian battleships for the more traditional AP and HE mids, though with not the best accuracy and range. She gains sap on her secondary battery guns with improved penetration and a good rate of fire. She retains Verdi's exhaust smoke generator and is also to compensate for her lower than average hit points and maximum speed for her tier. She gains improved maneuverability and concealment. The strong secondary armament of this ship means that at her helm, you want to get close and personal with your enemies, but aiming for close combat doesn't mean you can afford to be reckless, since a low HP pool forces you to pick engagements and carefully plan out the approach. Fortunately, the signature Italian exhaust smoke generator comes in handy here, while retaining the ability to use the exhaust smoke for defensive purposes. Commanders can utilize it as cover to approach their adversaries, getting them into the range of the secondary armament. Alternatively, the smoke can be used for expeditious retreat if the offensive did not go as planned. However, just like the similar for the I-56 1944 and Cyrus Wawadi, the Marcantonio Colonna is the model of the ship is not ready. You should check it out, link in the description below, for visit in the WoWs DevBlog website. Marcantonio Colonna is a Tier 8 in the member of the Francesco Caracciolo class battleships. She will be the same specifications of the Francesco Caracciolo though, but with her feature though is the exhaust smoke generator at this time. For some updated models, the models for the previously announced the Tier 9 Pan-Asian destroyer Nanning and the Tier 10 Dutch battleship Wilhelm de Este are now ready, and we are happy to show them. So the pictures are about to be seen. Link, you go up ahead, visit in the Warships DevBlog as well. So please check it out. It asterisk means on March 27, 2025 is the updated description I-56 44 torpedoes. So it will be, so that concludes for that the close test 40.4 in the new ships. Now we move on for the next topic for that in the upcoming data mine. Okay, so in the next talk about the close test 40.4, perilous route, update of operations with flagships and more. So it was posted about something at 12:12 a.m. Universal Time Coordinates, which means in the Manila Standard Time, which is probably at midnight on that day should be March 29. Welcome back to the DevBlog, captains. It's time to set sail into the details of update 14.4. Buckle up as we dive straight into what's on the horizon. Okay, so the upcoming game mode is the perilous route. In update 14.4, a new temporary battle type called perilous route will be introduced to the game. It may remind you of Convoy, but this time a team of players will defend a command ship against bots. These mighty ships sustain serious damage and can't defend herself, so you have to escort her to the destination point while her crew works on repairs. If you successfully protect her during the journey, she will be able to take part in the final showdown at the end of the battle. The battle type will have a single main objective, to escort the command ship through its designated path, during which it will stop at 2 distinct locations. At each stop, you will receive one of 3 available tasks that you need to complete in order to continue your journey. These tasks can be scout an area, go to a specific area on the map and spot enemy ships, capture an area, capture the key area defended by enemy ships, and destroy apparent enemies in your way. Neutralize a group of enemy ships blocking the path of the command ship. Additionally, there will be 5 random secondary tasks with varying levels of difficulty. Players will have access to the special coordinated fleet support consumable which, when activated, will restore a portion of all allied ship HP, along with their own. The HP restorative properties of a consumable can stack in effectiveness if multiple players activate it simultaneously. The battle type will take place with 7 players aboard Tier 8 and 9 ships, with a maximum 3 battleships, 4 cruisers, 3 destroyers, and 1 aircraft, and also divisions up to 7 players. The battles will unfold on the following maps: we got a hotspot and a trap. Next one, updated operations with flagships. Flagships continue to manage the seas in the update 14.4. A quick refresher. The operations with flagships battles type features flagships with enhanced stats that apply unique effects to bots under their influence. Players have proven capable of handling the threat, so they'll be coming out of the dots with some upgrades for this update, and up until release to 14.7. Here are the changes. For the battleship flagships, upon being spotted, the flagship will signal for reinforcement and call a deadly pack of torpedo boats. Race for impact. Flagships will regularly call for reinforcements before being sunk, so we just suggest you to deal with them as quickly as possible. Next, for the cruiser flagships. Upon destruction, if there is another bot cruiser within the flagship's area of effect, it will take out the flag and become the new flagship. Said bot doesn't receive the increased HP or unique vulnerabilities of the flagship type, but it will continue to apply buffs to bots within its area of influence. Upon becoming the flagship, the bot receives a set of buffs for 30 seconds, some gradual HP recovery, increased main and secondary battery damage, and instant one-time reload of its torpedo tubes. Some destroyer flagships. The flagship will periodically call in air support, bring in mine-laying aircraft to set minefields or player locations. Bot destroyers in the flagship's area of influence may lay one minefield at the current location. Upon destruction, bot destroyers in the area of influence which haven't laid a minefield will explode upon destruction, causing damage to every nearby ship. Now, for classified documents for operations with flagships. For update 14.4, classified documents will become upgradable to 8 players and fending off flagships and their entourages. Classified documents are upgraded independently, and with each level they will become more powerful. In update 14.4, the maximum level of classified documents will be 5, with higher levels unlockable in future updates. Here's an example of how the bonuses provided by classified documents will increase. Let's assume you want to strengthen yourself against a torpedo master cruiser. So, if the comparison of the first and fifth levels of classified documents accordingly, starting on level 1, the attack capabilities we got 10% torpedo damage and 10% damage for flooding. Defensive capabilities we got minus 5% damage taken from main battle shells. At the max level we got attack capabilities 16% torpedo damage, 40% damage from flooding. Defense capabilities minus 15% damage taken from main battle shells and minus 40% risk of catching fire. To upgrade a classified document, players will need special tokens which can be obtained by combat missions. Some of them can be completed in several battle types, while the others will be available exclusively in operations with flagships. If you want to collect as many tokens as possible, you need to complete both the former and the latter missions. Upgrading classified documents for operations with flagships will be done in port. After selecting operations with flagships as the battle type, go to the equipment tab of your ship and you will be see a section with classified documents. Click on it to upgrade or change your classified documents. You cannot pick in advance which classified documents will be used in operation, while retaining functionality to change it at the start of the battle. For Dunkirk 1940, in dedication to the anniversary Operation Dynamo, we are preparing a temporary naval-inspired port activity. As the goal of Operation Dynamo was to evacuate allies from Dunkirk, this strategic puzzle will let you prove your tactical skills using cards to overcome different obstacles and earn various rewards. We will share more details about this activity in a future publication. Some content additions and changes. As usual, we have some extra new content and changes coming with this update. Got 2 achievements for Clan Battle Season 30. We got a Man of War and the Hurricane Man of War. We will have 2 new commanders with unique voiceovers. We got Ragnar of Denmark, Ragnar fra Norge, as well as something on the list, the coastal British permanent camouflage, braving the fire flag, the longest night will be seen 2025 flag, the Grand Trial Spring Page flag, and the Grand Trial Spring Page patch. There are 2 new containers per Operation Dynamo of the standard and premium variety will be added to the game with update 14.4. So you might gonna see right now in the dev blog right now if you wanted to take chances upon it. And some 2 new containers will be added to the game with the contents to be revealed at the later date. They are the Japanese Squadron container and the Japanese Squadron premium containers. Additionally, the contents of Soviet era standard and premium containers will be changed starting with update 14.4. So if you wanted to check it out immediately at the dev blog, please note that Admiral bundle with Blitzkrieg 44 as well as bundles with Provoni will be available for direct purchase in premium shop during update 14.4. The asterisk means on March 28, the added information about the direct purchase options for Blitzkrieg and 44 and Provoni. So please note that all information in the development blog is preliminary. Announced adjustments and features may change multiple times during testing. The final information will be published on our game's website. So that's it, folks. I have to conclude right now for the closed test so far for the new ships, and a new upcoming public test will be taking place in the 14.4. So I hope you enjoy about my discussions going way forward, and I would like to see it in during the update 14.3 for the public test 14.4. So stay tuned for that, and I would like to see you up ahead. So thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell notification icon. So I will do it right now to make it further, and we wanted to appreciate for that to make more subs and increase viewers on this right now. So I have a very difficult situation. So the last time on the 27th birthday messages was a very low on views and having a single likes, especially for that the German docket impression for that Blucher is always about 200 viewers plus, and I gotta need it more higher. So please, you wanted to check it out immediately. So I hope you guys enjoy about this announcement daily. So I hope you enjoy, and I will see you guys in my next video.